Hi, everybody. Let's see if you can hear me. See if it's working. Testing. Testing. Okay, let's see. I don't want to make the same mistake I did last night. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we have breaking news on day 1421. 1421 days since Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss footprint, and we don't have his body. And there's been, questions out there about this declaration of death, declaration of deceased, and we received the casualty report, and that declaration of deceased absolutely is the murder of Richard on Fort Bliss in July of 2020, because you don't get the declaration of death without looking at the evidence, without reviewing all the evidence. And the evidence, we know what the evidence is. The casualty report knows what the evidence is. And the evidence is so heavy, there's so much of it that it declares Richard murdered on Fort Bliss in July of 2020. And, it's beyond a reasonable doubt, way beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's why having the declaration of death is so important, because now we can even get more evidence, and it's been just coming in, and we still have more to get. And it just takes time, because we're doing it. We're the ones doing it. And we're working alongside those that are in the institution, but there is a real power. There's what's going on in El Paso. You absolutely know, because of Bob Moore, because of Bill Hicks, because of Mario Raskin Ortiz. But this breaking news, this story that came out, and we want to, really appreciate what Martin Paredes did with this story. And I want to bring it up because I think it's so important. See if it's just amazing story, and he did such a good job. It shows you that there are ethical. I even edited my post because I called him courageous, but I think the right word is ethical, and it's called El Paso News. That's his site, El Paso News. .com, right? elpasonews.org. So you can go to elpasonews.org and you will get the story. So and we're getting more and more that's coming forward. This is, well, congratulations to Martin Paredes for coming out really with a bang on Richard's case against Bob Moore and El Paso Matters. It just shows you that Bob Moore has really, I don't know, he just went outside in El Paso without any shoes on in this heat, and he just burned his feet. He just burned his feet, and I don't know if that means something to y'all, but I remember I lived in El Paso. You didn't go outside on the sidewalk or in the street without shoes on, because it's hot and you're going to burn your feet. And that's what he's just doing. his audience is the El Paso community and the Fort Bliss community. And that community relies on accurate, ethical news sources for their whole society. We don't even realize how important it is, because in Richard's case, and I'm trying to do all this by heart, because my mind is thinking about 1,000 things right now of how ethical journalism forms our society is so important. Because when we have a wedding, we put it in the news, right? When we have a death, we put it in the news. When we have a probate, we put it in the news. When there is a storm, we put it in the news, right? When there is a death, a murder, we put it in the news. And everything that's in the news, in the media, we should be able to rely on it as evidence. As evidence in insurance claims for storms, right? As evidence for capital murder cases, right? We should be able to rely on it. And so to have ethical journalism, like what just happened today with Martin Paredes, he just gave us a gold piece. You see, he just gave us a gift that, it goes far beyond Richard's case. Of course, it helps Richard's case. But what he did is exposed an unethical journalist. Unethical journalists being Bob Moore and Angela Kachurga. They are unethical. They use unreliable sources. They tamper and alter their stories without notifying the public. They tamper. You see, they are working alongside. Remember, they were colluding. Our open records show that they were colluding with Bill Hicks, also tampering with official documents, wasn't he? He was tampering with official documents because he's a usurper in the 34th Judicial District Attorney's Office. Whether you like him or not, he messed up. He tampered. He altered. He committed a crime. And he is therefore a usurper in that office. He's illegal. And Yvonne Rosales, according to the Texas Constitution, the holdover provision, they usurped it from her anyway because of the resignation being under duress. Clearly, the signature on her resignation shows that she signed in duress, meaning that this was a usurpation and that she is the rightful district attorney of the 34th Judicial District there in El Paso. The prosecutor, a prosecutor we need. I don't care what party she belongs to, whatever. She is the duly elected district attorney. She was retaliated against for opening up a investigation into El Paso Community Foundation, and El Paso Matters. Bob Moore, who is primarily owned and ran by the board of El Paso Community Foundation, retaliated against Yvonne Rosales with Bill Hicks, with tampering, right? With just the right lawyer, we can tamper with this election. We can tamper with the will of the people of El Paso. We can tamper with how we report this. We can tamper with the minds of the people of El Paso by not giving them the truth, right? Not telling them that we're just trying to protect ourselves from an investigation into the dissemination, the distribution of the monies of the Walmart Victims Fund, that was all these donations and even taxpayers' money from Austin that came in, and they were committing. This was the alleging that they were committing fraud, and that Yvonne Rosales was looking into it, and lo and behold, the very news media that is connected to El Paso Community Foundation is the one that is manipulating, tampering, trying to alter what's going on with Bill Hicks with the judicial system. They're altering and tampering with the judicial system. So, and every time you alter and tamper with a story in your publication without being honest about it and transparent about it, then you are altering and tampering evidence, you see. And that means those stories cannot be used in a court of law because they have been unjustly altered and tampered with. And this is what Martin Paredes has said in this amazing story in his publication, El Paso News. And so he's a hero, he really is, for showing everybody the truth about what is happening in El Paso with the manipulation, the tampering, the altering of news stories without telling the people that they serve. And that Bob Moore's unethical, he's also criminal. He's unethical and he's criminal. And he is what can you say? He's hurting the whole legal system. He's hurting the community. He's not, I was a Girl Scout leader, right? Brownie leader and then a Girl Scout leader. And, the motto is leave the place better than you found it, right? Leave it better than you find it. Make the world a better place. What he is doing is destroying, is trashing up our society, trashing up our legal system, trashing up our community. That's what he's doing. He's just creating trash with unreliable sources to hinder our judicial system, to tamper with evidence, to hurt the whole journalistic community, because his stories were getting used by other news agencies. And so we've been very busy writing a letter that we'll send out shortly to the news agencies. And I'm going to say this on open record. If you are a news agency out there, if you're a journalist out there, you need to do your due diligence when, before you ever use any story that Bob Moore, Angela Kachurga, El Paso Matters creates, because they are unethical and they are out to hurt evidence, to tamper with evidence, which means they're tampering with our judicial system, which means that they were obstructing justice. They're obstructing justice in our son's case. And I hope that this makes sense, because this story, let's go through it. We received on April 24th, 2024, a notice of death for our son. We did. He didn't. We received the casualty report, right? We have it. He doesn't have it. And the casualty report is the latest, the most recent, with the review of the evidence. And he did not get that. Yet we, Team Find Richard Halliday, or Team Justice for Richard Halliday, contacted him no less than 15 times. I know it was more. We are ready to work with anybody, to tell anybody about our son's case so that they could put out reliable stories about Richard's case, right? So that we could get accountability now on who murdered Richard. Because there's no doubt, it's beyond a reasonable doubt, that Richard was murdered in July of 2020. And we tried to talk to Angela Kucherga. We tried to contact El Paso Matters. They weren't interested. Yet, when we received the notice of death, they wanted to control the narrative. They wanted to put a false narrative out there. They wanted to smear our family. This is a defamation. It was absolutely defamation. And, there were 17 points. 17 points that were in our cease and desist. That's how many times that they tampered with the truth. 17 times in a little story about announcing that the U.S. government has now declared Richard Halliday the Fort Bliss whistleblower soldier, that the Army never contacted the family, that they have now looked at the evidence and declared him deceased. And the evidence absolutely declares him murdered on the Fort Bliss footprint. So why didn't he contact us? We have the casualty report. We have the evidence. But no, he joined a group that was illegally stealing our identity, using things from our mission, our Facebook to get justice for our son, to motivate the government to beg, to plead, and to work with the institutional support that we're getting, and keep on going and give them everything, so that they can scrutinize even what we have, so we can come to the truth. We've been very scrutinized. And I'm very open to that, because it has led us to that Richard was murdered on Fort Bliss in 2020. But his remains were taken into Mexico. They were taken off of Fort Bliss. Okay? So we've been trying to get that story out so that it could be even scrutinized even more, because that's how you come to the truth. But El Paso Matters, Bob Moore, refused to even talk to us, because they don't want to get to the truth, because what they're doing, their criminal behavior, their unethical behavior, is to tamper with stories for politics. Their only goal is to manipulate the politics. That's what their goal is. They're playing politics. And that's why, they're all in this little gang with Bill Hicks, because he, as Loretta Lynn Hewitt said, was playing politics with the cases, with capital murder cases, with the Walmart case. He's playing politics with the Walmart case. He never wants to bring that to justice. So they are tampering with cases, they're tampering with evidence, meaning they are altering news stories. They're not even using good sources. They're not even listening to us. And another thing that's in this article by El Paso News, by Martin Paredes, is that Bob Moore and El Paso Matters is under IRS investigation. We have said that they're under investigation. There you have it. There you have it. Now, the one thing that Martin Paredes might have not put the dots together, and this shows you that the information still needs to get out, we still need to work with him, is that the girl that led us to KTSM, that met us there, that KTSM with Natasha Paloma rolled the red carpet out. Not literally, but they really did. I mean, we had the full studio, we had the huge big conference room, and it was for hours, y'all. They gave us so much attention, and they did that for Danae Katzen. For Danae Katzen. A fraudster. A fraudster on justice. A fraudster on El Paso. A fraudster on individuals. She's a scam artist. She's a fraudster. She's a liar. And she's peddling these lies. She's peddling this misinformation. She's peddling her con artistry. That's what she's doing. And she's married to Jonathan Ambrose. And there's more to that. But tonight I wanted to absolutely, because let me tell you, looking into Jonathan Ambrose, you find a lot. You find a lot. And it's all about Bliss Avenue. It's all about scamming and misrepresentation and criminal activity. Criminal activity. And so this story, has Danae Katzen in it, but she's not named. So if you can, when you're disseminating this story for Martin Paredes, for El Paso News, and telling everyone, thank you so much for ethical journalism. Thank you so much for ethical journalism. Then you can say, and by the way, let me with a red pen or, in red typing, say, and the girl is Danae Katzen, the one that was just arrested. I mean, let go again, right? But arrested, but that had targeted Richard Halliday's family 2 days, not even 2 days, after we had arrived in El Paso in September of 2020. September 2020. That's when she contacted us. And at the end of October, right when Nadal Baim, we got contacted for Nadal Baim, the story broke in KTSM that, about her false narrative. Her false narrative when we were with, the Dollar General store, getting the truth, getting honest testimony. But we should be able to get honest testimony from our newspapers, from our media. And the courts rely on them. This is what people don't understand. The courts rely on them because they're time-stamped, right? They're time-stamped. On this date, this happened. At this time. right? And here are the witnesses. And that's why reliable sources are so important. They're time-stamped. But Bob Moore has been, and this is how brilliant Martin Paredes is as a journalist. He looked at the times. He looked and noticed that they were messing with them, right? That they weren't doing their journalistic duty, and it was an attack on him. And so this is huge news, and I hope, I just have a little list here. Bob Moore, tampering with stories, tampering with politics, tampering with our American system, tampering with election, tampering with investigation, tampering to obstruct justice, tampering to cover up their own crimes. It's lawlessness. He's a cheater. He's a cheater. And he did that with Bill Hicks. Can you believe it? The prosecutor for El Paso. He did it with him. With him. They did it together. Bill Hicks needs to be arrested. So does Bob Moore. I think. My opinion. Bill Hicks needs to be arrested. And the people of El Paso need to call on Yvonne Rosales to put on her boots. Put your full armor of God on. Get your faith together. Get your faith together. You cannot get through life without a strong faith. Okay? That right there is proof of God. That right there is proof of God. You cannot go through things like this without a strong faith. You will fall apart. You've got to put that full armor of God on. And you've got to charge charge them with truth. March forward with truth. Publish the truth. This is the battle, right? This is how you win. You've got to be out there, and this is why these live streams are so important for our own safety and for getting justice for Richard, because you've got to bring the truth out there to the people against these evil manipulators, these tamperers, these obstructors of justice, these timestamp thieves, right? These timestamp adjusters, whatever. They're cheaters and they're fake. And thank you, God, for Martin Paredes, for an ethical journalist. I'm speechless as far as the right words on how big this is, and that this is just the beginning, because Richard's case has been breaking and breaking and breaking, and people understand that Richard's case is connected to the Walmart case, and when the Walmart case breaks, Richard's case will break. When Richard's case breaks, the Walmart case will break. And that's why there's been this huge effort by so many people day in and day out to tamper with the news stories, tamper with the politics, tamper with the system, tamper with the elections, tamper with investigations, tamper to obstruct justice, tamper to cover up, tamper to put out these false narratives. Because they know that when Richard's case breaks, the Walmart case will break. Because Richard was a whistleblower reporting the trafficking going on. And the Walmart mass shooting case was a quick a quick, not well thought out. It wasn't well thought out. They used Patrick Crucius. And I'm just wondering who else did they use that they took advantage of. They seem to like to take advantage of people. And I hope that it's not another with a severe mental health condition. Because they did a sloppy job. They did a sloppy job, and I even thought about not even mentioning how sloppy the job is, because it only takes you, let's say, 30 minutes to an hour looking at different articles to realize that Walmart mass shooting was an orchestrated political hit job. Deadly. So, because I didn't want them to think, okay, we've got all the evidence. Well, I'm just going to say it. They did a poor job. There is evidence galore that nothing what they say makes sense, and there's witnesses, and that's the hard thing, because witnesses have been getting retaliated against. Look at Glendon Oakley Jr. He was so retaliated against. And what a beautiful, beautiful soldier. What a beautiful man. And he was so willing to help and fight for justice and help children. And, for a young man, he was just absolutely beautiful in the day of August 3rd, 2019, willing to help and do whatever he could, even put his life on the line to help. And the next day, you can already tell they were at it with their long fingernails in the retaliation witch crew, right? And just at them with their tippy, their keyboard witchery manipulation and retaliation and harassment and vile, vulgar. They're so vile and vulgar. Okay? And if you don't have your full armor of God on, it is very tough. It's very tough to take. And I think age helps on that. When someone's coming after you with these vile and vulgar statements and lying. These are absolute peddlers of lies. And, I think age, I'll say that helps. I think when you're young, I don't know. It just all depends. So, yeah, if anyone has any questions about this news story, it's elpasonews.org. elpasonews.org, and it's called El Paso Matters Served with Cease and Desist Demand. The latest complaint filed against Bob Moore. Yeah, do you hear that? The latest complaint. There's been so many complaints filed against Bob Moore. This is the latest complaint filed against Bob Moore. And El Paso Matters adds to the numerous other complaints against Bob Moore and El Paso Matters. This latest demand likely jeopardizes the nonprofit's finances. And I think he hit the nail on the head. And I don't want to give too much of the story because I want you to go there and read it. Show Martin Paredes some love. Show him some love for his ethical journalism. And I think, he might have a donate button. I just think you need to absolutely support him for what he has done here. And that will help get even more stories out there. He's there's another story attached to this one reported when let's see, the Natasia Paloma one, but the one that he did, the task and purpose, he connected. But what was the one that he did connecting El Paso Community Foundation to El Paso Matters? Um, yeah. The one big question that he brought up that is absolutely a battle that we're having is with the CID still considering Richard missing. But I think that is a technicality because of the investigation. Um, or, or they don't want to let the public know that they're looking for the murderers. But, we have the key suspect, the prime suspects, right? Dallas Wayne Hart. He's the prime suspect. I mean, his mother absolutely gave him the propensity to do evil, to do harm, to be violent. I mean, my goodness, she gave that propensity and in her affidavit that she had notarized, that she had referred by Tavita Nusa, referred it to the FBI, and had so much influence in that she received the FBI acceptance number, the case number of her affidavit, and she bragged about it. And she bragged how she could influence the FBI. You see the pattern here? It's the same pattern. The tampering of the system, the tampering of agents, the tampering of the agency. You know, it's the same pattern that Bob Moore uses. They're cheaters. They're manipulators. They're tamperers. They're peddlers. They're peddlers of lies and false witnesses and unreliable sources. That's what they are. And the prime suspect, who absolutely, his own mother reported that he has the propensity to do great harm, is Dallas Wayne Hart. I mean, if she's reporting on incest, if she's reporting on the rape of a 7-year-old girl in her own, a 7-year-old boy in her own bedroom, if she's reporting on death threats and illegal arms purchases, gun purchases, and she's doing even claiming that the reason why she doesn't even spill the beans is because she's afraid of her immigration status. So that means she has an immigration problem, right? So, and then Bob Moore uses her, Leilani Hart, as an unreliable source to obstruct justice, to retaliate against a witness and a whistleblower. They're cut out of the same cloth. Leilani Hart, Bill Hicks, Bob Moore, they're cut out of the same cloth. And she's saying, my son has a propensity. She absolutely is saying that by submitting and getting her affidavit referred, notarized and referred, that, it proves beyond a reasonable doubt that he has a propensity to do great harm. So I don't know why, but we'll just step at a time, step at a time. But Dallas Wayne Hart is the prime suspect in the murder of Richard, and I would say there's some others, So and it's just we're just connecting all the dots right now. So thank you so much, everyone. God bless you for coming on. Please share this live stream. please share elpasonews.org by Martin Paredes, called, and I'm going to the top, El Paso Matters Served with Cease and Desist Demand. El Paso Matters Served with Cease and Desist Demand. And don't forget, Martin Paredes also tells you about how they're under investigation. So that's wonderful news. Thank you so much. Show them some love, and God bless you. God bless El Paso. We need to help El Paso, and we're doing as much as we can, working very, very hard, and we'll do even more. We'll do even more. Thank you so much. God bless you.